Hello everyone. How do you keep calm and study for an exam? That's a question both students and parents alike would wish to find an answer, especially due to the unique challenges posed by online learning in this new normal. In this video, jointly presented by Loyalty Pledge Management Committee of Royal College Union and the Royal College Doctors Association, we look at some of the most important tips about studying for exams in this new normal. Let's listen to our expert, Mrs. Nishalie Fernandopulle.
2021 is an important year for school children in Sri Lanka. Not only are many of you studying entirely at home, but we're also having 3 groups of students doing public examinations this year, 2 O-levels and an A-level. Because of this, I felt it would be useful to share a few tips to help you keep calm and study for your exams. The first tip is to organize your study area to make it neat and attractive. Try color coding. For example, you could cover all your science books in green, all your English books in purple. Make sure that everything related to that subject is in the same color. The 5S system is another tool you can use, which basically means that you can keep everything neat by giving everything a place and putting everything back in that place. Ideally, your desk should be clear with just a mug for pens and pencils and a 3-layered tray. Tray 1 is things to do, Tray 2 is things you've done which need to be corrected or put away, and Tray 3 is things you need help with. The second tip is to make a schedule. Start with a wall or a desk calendar and a set of markers to keep track of everything. I know Embark has an attractive desk calendar and Sarasavi a good wall calendar. If these are not available, just print one off your computer. On the first day of each month, mark it out. Use the color-coded colors for different subjects and note down your assignments, activities, and appointments. Use a highlighter or red pen for the important stuff. Now every Sunday you need to break down this information on the calendar to make a plan for each day of that week. Make sure you include time to work on each assignment a few days before it's due. Create a daily checklist. I know this sounds like overkill, but breaking down the monthly or weekly plan into a daily checklist is important. Also, remember to be specific about what you plan to do. Don't just say study science. Say, do O-level 2019 science paper 1. It might be fun to plan some studies with your friends. It always helps to know your friend is struggling through the same paper at the same time you are. This type of social learning also gives you the opportunity to teach, which is far more effective than learning. The Feynman technique is an efficient method of learning based on this idea. If you want to understand something well, you need to try to explain it simply so someone else can understand it. You may have heard of learning styles, visual, auditory. Unfortunately, there is very little scientific evidence that teaching in each person's preferred style helps them learn. But what we need to do is think of learning styles as a way to think about different studying techniques. Here are some ideas you can choose from. Whatever method you choose, try to have fun. Remember, we are motivated towards and remember better the things we enjoy. So if you like cartooning, draw crazy cartoons to supplement that boring story in the Sahitya book. Be honest with yourself. Think of what works best for you. I've put down a few ideas on this slide. Pick a few that you like to try and try them out for 2 weeks. If they work, great. If they don't, try a new one. But make sure you try something for 2 weeks before you give up on it. My fourth tip, is probably an unpopular one. Screens. You will need to turn off your phone or give it to your parents when you're studying. Even if you are Superman and you cannot look at your phone, it's really not worth the effort. So do yourself a favor and put it away. At the same time, I do know that screens are great teachers. So allocate a time to Google something you don't understand. When you Google, be specific, and remember, the internet is like a rabbit hole. You can lose yourself in it. So don't follow that path of clickbaits. Another very useful thing from screens and the gaming industry in particular is to realize that the cognitive psychologists behind the gaming industry are the best. They know exactly what it is that keeps us motivated to keep playing and playing and playing. Those of you who play games can guide us on what it is about these games that keeps you hooked. Is it that you're doing it at the same time as your friends? Is it that you're at the same level as your friends? Is it that you keep getting rewarded all the time? Is it that you can keep repeating the same level till you ace it? And there's really no shame in repetition or in failure. Well, let's apply that knowledge to your studies. Study in short sessions. Give yourself quick rewards in between to keep you motivated. Study at the same time your friends are studying. Study the same thing, the same level as your friends. Keep repeating the level till you ace it. My fifth and final tip is called PQ4R. P stands for preview, which is that you need to preview the information before you start reading it. In Sinhala, we call this udin pallen balanna. First, skim the material, read only the headings, the subheadings, and the highlighted text. A good idea is to use an old calendar paper, the back of it, and mind map the structure of this material by putting the topic in the middle and the subheadings around. You can add to this mind map as you go on to the next few steps. Q stands for question. Ask yourself questions related to the topic. You can sometimes find these questions in your textbooks or in past paper books. List them down. And now you can read. Read the chapter to try and identify answers to your questions. Don't read blindly. Once you are done reading, reflect. Did you answer all of your questions? If not, go back and see if you can find the answer. Do you need to check if they are correct? Can you compare notes with your friend or check in with the teacher? The next step is to recite. In your own words, repeat a summary of the information you just read. A bit like pretending you are teaching an imaginary friend. You can even recite together with a real friend. It's a bit like the feynman technique where you quiz each other and recite and explain the concept to each other. Finally, review. Look over this material that you studied and revise it the same night just before you go to bed. When you wake up the next morning, this should be the first thing you study again. Repeat this in 3 days, in 1 week, and then in 2 weeks. This is how this information goes into long-term memory. Flashcards are a great way to review. You can use them on the go to recall key points and definitions. Those of you who can use your online time wisely can do relevant online quizzes to review. And these quizzes are great for MCQs and even for maths. Create quizzes for your friends. Don't worry if you make a mistake, don't worry if you forget. When our brains almost forget something, they work harder to recall that information. So if you forget while reviewing, you're more likely to remember that forgotten information at the exam. These steps are only some of the things you can do to get the most out of your studying. You might already have other things that work better for you. Find out what your friends do when they're studying. Whatever it is, whatever strategy you come up with, when you find something that works for you, put it into practice and go for it. Good luck. I'm Nishalie Fernandopulle, clinical psychologist specializing in child and adolescent mental health.